Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of The Chrysalis Effect. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of The Chrysalis Effect, where we are transforming mind, money, and manifestations. I am Monique White, your host, and I welcome you to today's podcast. I have an exciting topic for you today. We are going to skip a week in our series of letting go because the Lord laid something on me that I think is that you really will enjoy. But before I get started, will you do me a favor? Will you please hit the like and share button and subscribe? Share it out to 3 people. And also drop me your comments. Drop me your comments. I thank you so much. So much. So, as the title says, I want to talk to you about your selection process. Selection process. This past couple of weeks, we have been going through an application process. My daughter will be going to high school next year, and we're looking at private school. As we fill out all of these applications, it occurred to me that some of us need to be more selective about who we allow in our sphere of influence, who we allow in our atmosphere. You know, these schools don't let just any old Joe Schmo person off the street in. They have a ranking to think about. They have a reputation to uphold. They have board members to answer to. So when I was thinking about it one particular night and I was laying in bed, it occurred to me that, man, we should really be like these schools. Don't we have a reputation to uphold? Has God promoted you? Do you have a ranking to keep, whether it is in ministry, in your family? Maybe you're the patriarch or matriarch or your family, or in your business, your leader. Do you have board members to answer to? Your family, that's the board member, your first board member. God, of course, is the head. Also, your church, your employees, your coworkers. So, what about your reputation? What about your rank? And if you're saying, okay, well, I don't have a board to answer to, it's just me. Well, you have God to answer to. We, as children of the kingdom, as children of the Most High, we cannot let just any old Joe Smo, any old person within our sphere of influence, within our atmosphere. There needs to be an application process. You have to do some vetting like these schools are doing. And as I was answering these questions, one of the recurring questions, or as we were filling out these applications, is the school wanted to know what the student was bringing to the table. What can you contribute to the community? Contribute to your peers, to the school. You have to bring something to the table. Same as with us, right? When someone wants to connect with you, when someone wants to collaborate with you, when someone wants to enter in business with you, to sit at your table, so to speak, we need to be asking, what are they contributing? Because you don't want a whole bunch of hangers on. You don't want people who are going to drain you. You don't want people that are going to benefit from you but are giving nothing in return. Some of us need to be more selective. Myself, and I include myself in that. But their process doesn't just stop there. Listen to this. They don't just ask what the student is contributing. They ask what the parents are contributing. The student fills out their portion, but the parents have their portion of the application to fill out. So what will you as a parent contribute to our school, to our community? And they're not just talking about money. Basically, they want to know, what else you got? What else do you have to offer us? Right? So should we be. So should we be, because you know what? They are asking because of what? A, they're asking because they could and there's nothing stopping them. But also we can and there's nothing stopping us. But more importantly, they're asking because they know the value of who they are as an institution and the value of what they provide. They know who they are as an institution and they know the value of what they provide. Now, and really we should be standing and walking in the same thing, knowing who and whose we are and the value of what we provide. And I'll be honest with you, I was getting frustrated with all these questions. It was a lot. And people will get frustrated with you. And that's okay. Because you know what? As frustrated as I was, I still answered the questions. And as frustrated as people are around you with being selective, if they recognize your value, your worth, if they recognize who you are, they'll continue with the application process. They still will go through that vetting process. Why? because just like I recognize the value of the education that these institutions could provide or would provide, and I understood that it was much, much better than the alternative, so too will those who are at your level, so to speak. And I don't mean that to be elitist, but really at some we have to draw the line. We have to have standards, right? So if people understand your calling, your purpose, your identity, your value, they'll continue on. There will be no complaints. They might grumble, but they'll still be there because they recognize what you are bringing to the table. They recognize the value of being connected with you, collaborating with you, being in covenant with you. So we need to be selective. You know, I posted in my group today about we're not made to fit in. The word says you are in this world, but you're not of this world. So you need to weed out the chads, so to speak. And by weeding out the chad, it's a process with the wheat fields. And if you don't really know what I'm talking about, went into depth about this on one of my platforms. You can go back on my Facebook business page and pull that video because I go really in depth with it. But yeah, we need to weed out the hangers on, weed out the dead weight. Because you see, people, as God promotes you, as you go higher, as you become more confident in yourself, in your calling, people will want to sit at the table. And not everybody will be worthy of the table. You know, just think about when you have a holiday dinner or you have a event going on. There's always those that want to come and eat after everything was prepared and set out. They don't want to lift a finger, but they sure enough want to eat. Right? They weren't there in the trenches with you. They weren't there with you as you built the foundation and poured the floor upon which that table sits. They weren't there beside you helping build the walls and the room where the table is positioned. You paid the cost of admission. The table is a result, a direct result of your labor. Yet there will always be someone who wants to come and sit at that table that God has prepared for you without buying a ticket. And we have to be careful because sometimes we get caught up in that. We get caught up in the likes and the follows and the admiration. But you have to be careful of that because you're letting those who, well, first of all, that's just pride and that's arrogance, right? And we're not to be haughty, we're to be humble. And it's not for our glory, it's for His. But if you're not careful with all of that and you just get caught up and let all those people start hanging on, and some of them, I'll say the old term, moochers, if you're not careful and letting all those people at the table that God has prepared for you, you might turn around and there will be nothing left. You might turn around and the table that was once set will be bare. You know, I moved out here into a more rural area than I grew up in because I kind of grew up in South Jersey. But here you see a lot of roadkill, and when you get roadkill, there's a lot of vultures, and it's just like that. Vultures will pick a bone clean. And if you're not selective, if you get caught up in all of the accolades and the admiration and the likes and the follows, and you're not careful, you will be picked clean just like the roadkill. And guess what? They will leave you and they will go on to the next. There is no loyalty. So let's look at our selection process. Let's look at our selection process. But not just that. We need to be careful as children of the kingdom, and especially in this digital age. We need to be careful of who we are sitting up underneath, who we ourselves are following. Because some of these people out here, we have no business following. Some people out here are not in alignment with what we with our kingdom values. And if you're sitting at their table, that very food that you are now consuming will start to kill you. You're eating at a table prepared for them, prepared in alignment with them and their calling, their gifting, or their core values, which might not necessarily be yours. Next, we have to ask ourselves, what are we bringing to the table? What are we bringing to their table? Are we just taking? Or are we giving something in return? And is it an even exchange? Are you being just like, are you bringing a dish to the potluck? Are you being that person that shows up and says, oh, I forgot my dish? Here's another perspective. Is the host only supplying the table and relying on those around them to bring the meal? You know those kind of people. We all been around them, those entitled people, those who think that just because of who they are, that you should be grateful and you should give everything to them for free, yet they give nothing in return. Is their table worthy of you? Because quiet as it's kept, everything that glitters isn't gold. And you see that more and more in this digital age. You see that more and more, even when you turn on the news. And I'm a lawyer. I'm interested in a lot of the cases, but you see a lot of corruption. People who have this glamorous life, but behind the scenes, not so much. They project this image, but behind the scenes, they're not happy. Behind the scenes, they're lonely. Behind the scenes, they don't have any family though, because their relationships are in ruins. Behind the scenes, they're in debt, right? Behind the scenes, they're grifters. Just food for thought. Just food for thought. It came to me and the Holy Spirit wouldn't leave me alone. It just kept running. Yeah, what's this? What's your answer to this question? What about this? This is an illustration of real life. When you know who you are and the value of what you bring, you don't settle. You don't settle. You have an application process. You don't hang around with just anybody. You don't go out with just anybody. Demand an applicant who is worthy of you, your reputation, and what you bring to the table. Someone who can contribute to you and your community. Think about it. Think about it. Thank you so much, everyone. I am Monique White again of Triumph Services, your host, and this has been the Chrysalis Effect, where we are transforming mind, money, and manifestations. If you want to connect with me, you can do so. At my website www.triumphservices.com. That is www.triumphsvcs.com. And of course, on all my social media at Triumph, TriumphSVCS. And if you are interested in booking a connection call or a discovery session, you can do so by clicking on the link that is scrolling across your screen or by going to the link that is scrolling across your screen. Have an absolutely awesome day, everyone, and I will see you right back here next week. Bye-bye.